Welcome to the Car Comparos. Today we will be comparing Honda Jazz versus Ford Figo Aspire. Pricing and features. Most popular variants in this segment are usually diesel powered and costing somewhere in the range of 7.5 lakhs, which is why we are comparing the Figo Aspire Titanium 1.5 TDCi variant costing 7.70 lakh to Honda Jazz SV ID Tech costing 7.65 lakh. Overall, the Figo Aspire has slightly more features than the Jazz. Fuel efficiency. The diesel-powered Figo Aspire has an ARAI certified mileage of 25.8 km per liter, which is still 1.5 km per liter less than the Honda Jazz. The manual geared petrol engined Figo Aspire returns a mileage of 18.16 km per liter, still 0.54 km per liter less than the Jazz. In our back-to-back tests, both the petrol and the diesel Jazz consistently returned over 1 km per liter more than the Figo Aspire. The automatic geared Figo Aspire powered by the 1.5-liter petrol engine is rated at 17 km per liter, which is a whopping 2 km per liter lesser than the automatic Jazz. Performance and drivability. In comparison of the diesel cars, Ford has had far more experience in making diesel engines than the Honda, and it shows. Figo Aspire's engine is more refined, slightly more free revving and more tractable than the Jazz's unit. Both cars have had excellent drivability around town, but the Figo Aspire feels slightly more potent on the highways as well as the top end of the rev range. For the first time in the history of automobile industry, a Ford has managed to be lighter than the Honda from the same segment, and it has given Ford Aspire the best performance in its class, especially in the diesel engine. In comparison for the petrol cars, both the manual geared cars are powered by the non-turbocharged 1.2-liter engines that are just not adequate for their size. Hence they need to be revved well past 3000 rpm to make any reasonable progress. They feel quite laborious to drive around the city roads and feel sorely out of breath while overtaking. The automatics, on the other hand, are a completely different story. The Jazz sports a CVT geared box bolted to on the same 1.2-liter IV-Tech mill, which makes it incredibly easy to drive on city roads. But as the speed rises, the CVT's rubber band effect comes into play, making overtaking quite a difficult task. The Figo Aspire, on the other hand, has sacrificed the excise duty benefit and fitted 1.5-liter petrol engine from the EcoSport, along with its own version of the dual-clutch gearbox. This makes the Aspire as smooth as the Jazz around the town. On the highway, the Figo Aspire is immensely better than the Jazz. While overtaking, a heavy accelerator input is enough for it to smoothly downshift into the lower gear, and the option of manually downshifting using the plus minus buttons on the gear lever is also available. Handling and ride quality. Honda Jazz is no match for Figo Aspire's unmatched dynamic capabilities. Firstly, the Aspire rides with a sublime pliancy compared to the Jazz's comparatively stiff setup, which does allow sharp bumps to filter through. And yet, the Figo Aspire also excels at cornering. It has an accurate, feelsome, and well weighted steering compared to the Jazz's slightly lifeless and over-servoed unit. The Figo Aspire also has hardly any body roll, much like the tall boy Jazz. Ford once again demonstrates its supremacy in the segment when it comes to dynamics, while Honda, in spite of having immensely improved over the previous Avatar, it still has a long way to go. Space and comfort. Honda's sheer expertise at providing maximum possible space inside the minimum possible footprint is legendary. The sheer expanse of the real estate that Honda has managed to liberate inside the Jazz is no less than an achievement. Both front and rear rows are characteristically airy, spacious, and ergonomically perfect for ferrying 5 passengers over hundreds of kilometers. The Figo Aspire, on the other hand, feels much claustrophobic and also quite utilitarian compared to the premium Honda City sources inside of the Jazz. The only similarity between the two cars is that sport identical 350 liters of boot space. Reliability and after sale service. On one hand, we have the Honda, which has a stellar record for after-sales service in the country over the last 2 decades since the launch of the first Honda City. The same cannot be said for Ford, which has been struggling since the launch of the Escort and seems to have finally started getting its act together with Figo and EcoSport. However, in terms of the inherent product reliability, Ford products are still no match for the Hondas, neither is the service support as hassle free. This is bound to have an effect on the resale value of the two cars, with the Jazz expected to fetch an extra 50k to a lakh more than the Figo Aspire after an ownership period of 5 to 7 years. And now for the verdict. Honda Jazz is a more practical car than the Figo Aspire, but Figo Aspire is a better driver's car.